I find it very hard to see myself as a runner, even though I know I am. I do multiple sports. I'm not a typical female runner. I carry a lot of muscle, I look very different, and I look well different on that start line compared to everyone doing that ultra. Oh my God, when I finished that race.
I can't tell you how excited I am about today's episode.
I'm very excited.
The research part of these episodes is just, it's one of the things I love most about this process. And I really did. I mean, I went back to your furthest video you made, which was what we're talking like 5 years ago. Because for me, it's really interesting to see the transition of kind of where you were at 5 years ago and how you've kind of come to where you're at right now. The respect and admiration I have for you as a person is that what you're achieving and what you continue to set out to achieve for me is what makes you stand out. And I think why people are so invested in your journey.
I mean, that is so kind, and I appreciate that a lot, because I think when I first started like 5-6 years ago, women in sport is a massive thing for me. So the fact that I grew up as a young female athlete, we are treated differently, and it's that whole equality thing and in sport. And it's only now that I just choose to do these very, very hard things that the respect almost gets gained in a different way. It's not that I'm searching for it constantly, or I'm not like a hardcore feminist, but I am so strong with women in sport and the empowerment and how they feel and that they're enough and they can do more. So instead of me really badly preaching about it, I just do the things. So I do them and then I show people, and then hopefully the respect is gained by actually just going out there and trying new things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think with what you do as well, I think you're so versatile. I mean, you are a hybrid athlete. I mean, there are so many notches to your belt in terms of the high rocks, your running, your previous history with swimming, which I think is what makes you quite unique, actually, because I think so many people don't really dare to step out of their comfort zone. And I think by you doing that, I think actually when you look at the results that you're achieving, that's not just going to inspire women, but that's equally going to inspire many men too.
It almost feels, I think, as a woman in the fitness space in general. So the fitness space is a crazy area to be. When I first started out, I didn't think I would be doing what I do today. I don't think. So this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but if you go into the mindset with Instagram and social media that you're going to be famous and you're going to be the best and you're going to grow, you're going to hate it and it's not going to work. I only started posting on my page to get over an eating disorder. And then it just so happened that I was very transparent, very no bullshit. People started to click onto that. The one thing that I guess like frustrates me as a woman in this space, and it was more a recent thing on TikTok. I'm not as big on TikTok. I dabble in it. There's a lot of women who bash men. Now, I am very, very pro men and I'm very, very pro women. I'm not one or the other. And the issue is, and the communication gets disrupted, is when women are against men and men are against women, because a lot of the cases where you will have seen it on social media, the gym creeps, the this, the that, the filming of people in the gym who actually aren't doing anything except maybe just moving their head or glancing in a certain type of way. And a girl films him and calls him some nasty, nasty words, when actually it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it is a small minority. A lot of people will just post these videos for likes and for engagement, and that tarnishes the relationship between guys and girls. Like, I'm so here for it. If I fail in the gym and a guy comes up to me, I'm like, thank fuck you were there, because that bench would have squished me. And it's having that appreciation for guys and girls and working together. I don't understand why the sexes have to go against each other, and why can't we just support each other? And there's so many guys who support me, and it's amazing. And I support so many guys just as much as I support women. So that's the only thing that I feel is quite disjointed.
I think it is disjointed. I think unless you've been exposed to an environment where you can be educated and can showcase, different sides to things, a lot of individuals will probably come into it with that singular mindset. When you look at like the ultra space, which you've come into, when you were actually like in the thick of it, man or woman, and you look at what it takes, whether you're the first person to cross the finish line or the last person to cross that finish line, that ultra distance is going to hurt no matter what position you finish at. And I think the mutual respect that you have, That's for me what makes that particular distance or sport so unique in comparison to so many others, where actually it is the togetherness. I
Yeah.
think the elation when I've done ultras, when you see complete strangers crossing the finish line, and it doesn't matter what the sex is, it's just it's almost like you feel you are incredibly proud of them because you know what it's taken for them to get to that point.
The ultra thing is so true. When I first signed up for my 100K, I had never ran over maybe 22, 25K. I can't remember what it is exactly. I wish I could. I drunkenly signed up for this 100K and then committed because I shared it to everyone. I was like, I'm doing this 100K in 6 months' time. I'm terrified. I didn't know what the ultra community was like. And at the time, I was very, very much still in the gym a lot more than I was running. And then obviously the running ramped up alongside my lifting, hence the hybrid approach to what I was doing. I was really scared that I was going to be judged by the ultra community, or even now I don't fit in as a runner. Like I still to this day, I find it very hard to see myself as a runner, even though I know I am. I do multiple sports. I'm not a typical female runner. I carry a lot of muscle. I look very different, and I look well different on that start line compared to everyone doing that ultra. Oh my God, when I finished that race, the appreciation, the love, there was no hate. Everyone's like, oh my God, this is amazing. You should be so proud of yourself. There wasn't like comparisons of times, or that I was new there, or that it was my first race. People were proud that it was my first race. When I was chatting to people, they were like, oh, it's like my 10th ultra. I was like, oh, it's my first one ever, and I'm doing 100K. They were so pleasant and so proud. And I think the running community in general, that is something that I found with the running community. The gym community, I think, is a really special place, and it always will be. But still to this day, I will 100% get gym anxiety. I don't look like a stereotypical woman in this day and age. It's getting better. We're appreciating muscle more on women. But the running community, I go to a new run club, I sign up to a race, I do whatever. I feel really included and a part of that community. And I have a strange running technique where I think it's got a lot better than when I first started. I'm quite robotic. My biceps hurt when I run. Like my arms get tired, my back gets tired. I'm loud, you can hear me a mile off, but I don't feel judged at all. Like I feel very a part of it. But what I was saying before, I still don't feel like a runner. Someone said to me before, and it might have even been this podcast, you asked for like good recommendations of runners, and this girl was like, I really hope you've been recommended as a runner. And I thought, am I a runner? But I am a runner, and I find it hard to fathom that because I do a lot of different sports and I love doing it. When people say to me like, you are a runner, I'm thinking, I probably am now. Like it, and maybe it's solidified that I am, and it's weird.
Why do you think people have such a hard time calling themselves a runner or labeling themselves as a runner? Because you're not the only person. It seems like everyone but the professional struggles to label themselves as a runner.
Do you know what? That's a really hard question that I've never been asked. I think it's because I look different that I don't think I'm a runner. However, I've just ran across America. I'm absolutely a runner. She's there. It's sometimes I do look at elite marathon runners, for example, and physically I don't fit in. But then you could look at so many different sports, you could look at so many different areas of life, and people would think the exact same thing. I started running during COVID because we had no gyms, and my God, I needed to get out of that house. I found the love for it. So I was just running. I didn't class myself as a runner at all. I was just running here and there. Did the 100K, still didn't class myself as a runner. I was like, oh no, I ran it. Doesn't mean I'm a runner. But I've built up this evidence now to be like, Lucy, you really are a runner now.
Ultimately, and I've said this before with the Dr. Alex podcast, if you put one foot in front of the other and it's a faster pace than a walk, then you are a runner. If you look at what you've achieved in the past 2 years, I mean, I think it was your first half marathon you did was 2 years ago, is that right? Yeah. And you look at how far you've come, you know, you've exceeded actually what most will probably do in a lifetime. So it's almost at that point now where you've even surpassed what I would call a runner. Like it's phenomenal. I mean, like you touched on there, you've just come back from the Speed Project. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Speed Project is a 350-mile race and it's consistent. It's from Los Angeles all the way to Vegas. and it's built up of a team. Now, in terms of the team itself,
Yeah.
is there a specific number you have to have? How many is it?
Yeah, so ours was the OG route that we did. You had to have 4 boys and 2 girls as part of your team. Anyone can enter, and some teams had like 12 people or all boys, but that's classed as the all round. But regarding the OG teams, has to be 4 guys, has to be 2 girls, and that's the one that we did.
And do you want to share with the guys who invited you to do it?
Yeah, because my imposter syndrome was on its arse, honest to God. So Nick Bear reached out to me, and people always ask me who my inspirations are. And it's always a shock to people that it's not a woman that I look up to. So I've got 2 really big inspirations. My dad is my number 1, and then Nick Bear. And he's someone I've always looked up to. And he sent me this random DM as a voice note. And I was like, Ben, he's voice noted me. And he's like, do you want to run with my team? And I thought, like, me, are you sure? It's a big commitment for you because I'm not as fast as the rest of the team. I'm very aware of that. And he's like, no, I want you to be a part of this team and run with me. And I thought that was one of those moments where I could have said no. Like, it was very much just got back from Florida, my honeymoon, going away. I got London Marathon, I got Geneva Marathon, right in the middle. And I thought, yeah, it was one of those moments I was like, I can't say no to this. And I'm so, so happy I said yes.
I mean, just to give you guys some context, I mean, Nick is one of the biggest names in hybrid sports.
Hybrids, yeah, for sure.
I put him in the same category, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's a combination of multiple things. He's huge in America, ex-military man. And I mean, he's built up one of the most incredible companies, BPN Supplements, which is, it's massive.
Yeah.
And I think, again, he is someone that originally most would not identify with running because of his size. He's a big, stacked guy.
He's bigger in person.
Do you know what I mean? But his
run?
transitions, I think, the synergy between the two of you, I think, is why it works so well. Because actually, I think what you both do, the comparisons, there are so many. And I think for him to ask you that is testament to what you've done. I mean, it's amazing because, you know, the achievements he's accomplished over the years as well for his size in terms of his sub-3, the ultras that he sets himself, you know, to get that in 2 years from your first half marathon is honestly phenomenal.
Do you know what? I had never heard of the Speed Project. And even he told me maybe about 2 months out to be a part of his team because they decided to do it very quickly, make this whole film of it. And I was like, how do I train for that? Because the training was very, very different. It's stop and start for 50 miles each or 50, 55 miles each. So I kind of trained for it, but in my head I thought it's going to be really nice because ultra pace is really different to marathon pace or 10K pace. Oh my God, was I wrong? Like, when we got there, every single leg we did, so we did ours in 3 mile stints. So you're switching out every 6 people in 3 miles. And then we went off-road and did 2 miles, and then we did a mile near the end. I like sprinted for my life every single 3 mile segment because one, you're doing it as a team and you do not want to let your team down. Bear in mind, I was with some very fast runners and I had severe imposter syndrome and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't let people down. So you're sprinting. You've then got maybe an hour 30 between each of our legs where you try to recover. You're in like Jeeps and RVs, so you can't sleep. We did ours in 35 hours, 35 minutes, but we didn't sleep for maybe 40 hours. I've never even done an all-nighter. I didn't know how I would feel, which was delirious. And then you've got to run, and you've got to run fast, and you've still got to be positive and smiley. And it was one of the best but hardest, craziest things I have ever done. The experience to be able to run in Nevada desert and just look around. I kept having to bring myself back to that because I did really struggle. My legs seized up after like the third 3 miler and I thought, this is not a good sign. And then in my head, I've got, okay, you've ran 100K, you've done marathons, you've done base camp, you've done harder things. You're going to be fine. It hurts. It's supposed to hurt. And then I just looked at the surroundings and thought, you're running in the desert. It's cool as fuck, Lucy. Like, stay grounded. Because I did really struggle. I didn't say at the time to the team, oh my God, like I can't continue. But in my head, I thought, I'm gone. I was like, there's nothing left. But the team element is so special because you're not letting anyone down for a second. Not at all.
How do you even train for something like that, especially potentially on such short notice, do you think that then just becomes more of a mental thing than the physical?
Yeah, so I really like the quote, train for nothing, ready for anything. And that suits me very well, because if someone said, well, yeah, the speed project's the perfect example. Like, you're going to go and do this in 2 months. You're going to run from LA to Vegas. 2 years ago would have been like impossible. Whereas now I have this training volume essentially that always prepares me for things, to be ready for things, to have it there that I know I can do it, but then also that I've done hard things. So I've been in the pain cave. My first marathon was an absolute shambles. My first marathon was only last October. So I ran 100K before I did a marathon, which is a bit rogue. And I bonked at 27K and I had to walk. I still PB'd because it's my first one. I got 3:18. I was walking, I was in tears. My legs literally stopped working and I was mortified because I trained so hard for that marathon, like really, really wanted like a 3:15 or sub. And I was so disappointed at the end, and people couldn't fathom how I was disappointed with that marathon. And I was like, because I've never felt anything like I felt in that marathon. It was completely different. I was in tears. I don't usually cry during those sort of things. My legs stopped functioning. I fucked up on nutrition. So thank God I did, because then every race since I've never messed up with nutrition or gels or needing to literally shit myself halfway through. Not happened, because I've failed so many times before. I'm much more mentally prepared, and not, I mean, I still will fail so many times and I love failure. I think it's fantastic. I think it's wonderful. I used to be really scared of it. Whereas now I'm like, okay, ooh, massive failure. What did we learn? Move it to the next one. So going into the speed projects, even though I'd never done like a stop start non-sleep for 40 hours, I knew that even if my legs clocked out, my nutrition was on point.
Yeah, I mean, when you look back at those moments, I mean, you're almost so unbelievably grateful for the education and the learnings right from it.
Yeah.
At the time, it's the worst
It
thing
was
in the
it
world.
was awful.
But I think even you talking there about how you felt trying to achieve that PB within a marathon, I think that's a really valuable lesson, because I think so many people will come into this space and they'll do an ultra, they want to do a 5K, they want to do 10. There's a reason why there are different distances. And actually, when you look at elite level athletes, there's a reason why a 10K runner doesn't go on and do a 100-mile ultra.
Yeah.
It's a completely different ball game. The way that you physically train and condition in the gym, your nutritional process, how you'll take the race itself, even like the pace that you're running at. And I think that's, the more you do, again, the more learnings you'll get from it. But I think people sometimes make the mistake, say if they come into this space from, say, the ultra side of things, and they're like, well, if I've done 100 miles, I can do 26.2. It's such, I mean, the step up when you're trying to run, like you said, so if you're running a 3:15 pace, you need to be averaging.
4:35, I think, for 3:15.
Now,
Yeah.
most people on a treadmill alone will understand how unbelievably hard that is. When you're going into the ultra side of things, the timings are completely different,
So different.
you know?
It's my I mean, my 100K was wonderful also because it was completely trail. So I think there was maybe 5 miles of it where you're crossing road, which was classed as road. The rest of it was trails, hills. It was a stunning, I mean, it was really hot actually, but it was a stunning day. It was completely different. The pace was, I think, was 7 minute or 7:30 per K. And when I went into Chester Marathon, I thought, that was in my head. I thought, we've done 100K. Didn't help at all. I think my marathon was so much harder than that 100K. It was just, I mean, I set off at a 4:20 pace and then just bonked. And I thought, this wasn't supposed to happen. So I didn't mentally prepare myself for that, because I went in with the wrong mindset, because as you said, they are completely different races. So now I look at them as all different entities. Ultras are ultras, marathons are marathons, 10Ks are da da da. They're very, very different. And my training around it, shouldn't have really been training legs right up until the marathon, but I did. There's loads of lessons that you learn from it. But no, my marathons are always harder than the ultras.
I had a really good conversation with a couple of friends about this, where can someone realistically peak in their performance when they stretch themselves out? So when you look at what you're doing with high rocks, and when you look at the marathon running, the ultras, how trying to find the balance of that, because actually your preparation for high rocks there are some benefits, I guess, to running, obviously, just with the running segment, but then the training methods, if you're conditioning yourself, they don't really necessarily, there's not a lot of synergy there.
Yeah.
But I guess because of your background and the performance level that you are at, would you say it's the few percent that would be able to achieve something like that?
I get asked it a lot, and I almost give myself a disclaimer because I'm very transparent. What you see online is what you'll meet in person. And it's same with like how I look. When people are like, how do you get a six pack? And I could sell you abs in 6 days. I could make a lot of money off that. The reason I've never done it or stooped to that level is because I've had them since I was 5 years old. I show pictures online. I'm like, genetically, I don't store fat on my stomach. There is your answer. I don't really train abs. I should, because my core is weak as hell. And I'm very transparent about that. It's the exact same as from the womb. Like, me and my sister have been in sport, skiing, climbing, mountaineering, gymnastics, swimming for 10 years competitively. So I'm not surprised when I started running, my lung capacity, my heart rate is something I get questioned on because my heart rate is quite low for the pace. And I'm thinking, realistically, I trained for this my whole life, but it's just a different sport. And I'm very transparent because I am quite strong, but I can run, I think, from the background of swimming, which is where high rocks is very well suited to me because I can marathon train because I've got 2 marathons coming up, London, then Geneva, where I'm pacing my sister. Straight after that, we've got High Rocks Worlds. And people are thinking, well, how are you training for it? Training for marathons for me is so helpful for the running element of High Rocks because there's 8K of running in there and it's hard and it's fast, but I can still train so hard and so heavy for High Rocks without fatiguing. And it's 100% a disclaimer from me. I've trained for 27 years of my life.
I think when you come into this space, if you've never run before and you've never really done high rocks or you don't have any experience or background within sort of like weights or lifting, you can still have a phenomenal time. But if you really want to compete with the top percent, I think you need to give yourself more time.
This week's episode is sponsored by Runner. Runner is a personalized running coaching app helping runners of all abilities train for any goal. From a first 5K to a marathon, even an ultra marathon. When the time is right for you, your plan can be created within a minute and ready to go. With each plan, Runner provides all the help a runner requires, including strength and conditioning, and you can also reach out to the team at any time via the support tab inside the app. For a 2-week free trial on any personalized running plan, use the code PHOENIX. No matter your goal, Runner is there to help you achieve it.
Wrong, because I've got people who say for high rocks, oh, you should go for Elite 15. I've then got marathon runners being like, you should go for a sub 3 marathon. I've then got other people like, you should do a powerlifting competition and be the. I don't want to be elite or the best in any of them. I just want to be me.
You just naturally shit like that, Liz. Don't want to be the best, but for some reason, every time I win.
Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't want to do a 2:45 marathon because I would solely just have to run. I know that. I could think next year I'd love to go for a sub 3. I think that'll be a real goal of mine. And I also want to do an Ironman at some stage. But I'm not looking to win a marathon or win this or win all of them. I just want to try my best and see what happens with every single thing that I do. Like, I did a powerlifting competition straight after my ultra, about 3 months after the 100K, just to try and see how it was. I just did the bench press. I was the weakest for sure because it was such a new space. I only did bench press, which you don't usually do, but I did not want to use my legs in that way, like the squats and the deadlifts. I think I benched 17. I failed every single rep. It got up, but like my bum lifted up and I didn't understand the rules properly. I am so proud of myself for doing that and being so uncomfortable in that environment, because even though I was the weakest and I definitely wasn't the best, my God, did I put myself out there just to try something new. Like, I'm really, really big on getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, which is where like the ultras come in, and like I didn't win the ultra, but I did really well for me. I swam for 10 years trying to get to the Olympics and it killed me. Like, I hate swimming now, and that's so sad. Like, even when I think about doing an Ironman one day, the swimming is, I dread doing that because I think, oh, I fucking hate it.
God, that'd be exciting if you did an Ironman.
I think an Ironman will be a lot of fun because I can run and I can swim.
Yeah.
I can cycle, but I don't choose to.
The question I always get asked by men specifically is, what distance can I run that will make me look shredded? I think realistically, a 5K maximum to 10K, probably then with your weightlifting, is going to be a really good balance. Anything after that, I think you are probably going to struggle.
Yeah.
The thought of gaining weight or size and strength with ultra running, I don't necessarily see the synergy there. That's why most ultra runners do tend to have a much smaller frame. And I think it's just educating people with that. And that's not a bad thing. I think ultimately, though, if you want to come into something and aesthetically you want to look good, then I think you just have to maybe be more mindful about what the outcome of whatever the task is that you've set yourself.
Like literally completely. And I love the sliding scale because the current volume that I'll train at for like marathons, I can actually maintain muscle now. At the start, I couldn't, but I've got to the stage where I can, but still going above the marathon distance, my body will change for sure. I struggle to eat. My appetite after anything like the Speed Project, Ultras, it's non-existent. Like Ben's like, you need to eat. I'm thinking,
no, not happening.
I've just had like 20 gels. Like my stomach's really off. Like it's a very, very difficult thing to do. But I do believe you can maintain muscle and run to an extent, but it is when, and it's very, very individual. It's very, very individual to the person. There'll be a certain distance that you push over with training volume where your body will change, but I'm not necessarily aesthetic focused anymore. I used to be when I first started posting on Instagram, when it was like a thing, and it makes me cringe now. I've not really spoken about it. I was so self-absorbed, and I look back.
With your physique.
With my physique and how I looked. And when I first started Instagram, you get a lot of validation when you start growing. And I had a 6-pack and I thought, and people were commenting on it and being like, you look amazing. And that validation from social media is so negative. And even though at the time you don't think it is, but if you're only getting positive validation from people online for like the aesthetically, it was driving this ego that I didn't really like that I had at the time. Like I used to post my arse, which is fine that if people do that in this day and age, whatever, but I don't identify with that person anymore. It's absolutely how I definitely got a lot of followers, but then there was also a lot of inappropriate comments from how that, and I'm really happy that I did start running because it took the pressure off. I was so focused on what I looked like, very self-absorbed, probably still really struggled in some way with the eating disorder tendencies because I'd look in the mirror and it was very just, how do I look today? What is this? And don't get me wrong, I still look in the mirror and think how I look. And I do, everyone cares about what they look like to some extent for sure. But then the health benefits that I receive from running and doing different sports and high rocks and the performance element and looking at numbers a little bit more and statistics and timings and how I used to do the part I love from swimming, to bring that back into what I do now and have aesthetics and health and performance and have this trio is really, really important. I think it's really special because people always say like, how do you stay so motivated? Or yeah, actually just the word motivation there. I am hella consistent. Honestly, I swear most days I'm actually not motivated, more so probably demotivated. The training for marathons and ultras, it's hard. And I'm just super, super consistent with what I want to achieve and what I want to show people. So the consistency completely outweighs the motivation. Motivation is just this rocket ship. It takes off and then it dies down and then you're just floating around space. And then sometimes it'll be really big and it'll be amazing surge. And or you listen to a cool podcast or you watch a video and there's like, boom, I'm going to go for a run. It's not like that most days. And social media, people have to remember, we're content creators. I'm not going to prop my phone up and film myself crying. It's not my type of content. I don't do it. I will be transparent, but I'm also going to post my best content and what I enjoy and my run that I just did. Or do you know what I mean in that sense?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I saw definitely, you speak about this a lot, about you being trolled by individuals. And that's a really tough thing to face because unfortunately there isn't a great deal you can do to help that individual because you're not ever really going to be in a space where you're going to have that one-on-one rational conversation. Mm-hmm. And so one of the biggest lessons I learned is that, again, it's how you interpret it. And actually, as much as you want to be like, God, there is a lot of sausages in this world that have an awful lot of animosity, you know, you got to think about the environment that they find themselves in. And I saw a conversation between you and Ben, your husband, where the world is just, it's going through an unbelievably tough time right now. And, you know, I'm not saying that in times prior, there was ever like a silver lining at the end of it, but it's just, especially now with social media and just the media in general, it's one thing after another, after another, after another. And there seems to be so few beacons of light left in this world right now. And so when they look at somebody like yourself, who is going on to do these exceptional things, you are making them question themselves. And that's what a person tends to not like to do. And so you're the easy target. But what you need to look at is that ultimately the body that God has given you and your parents, after making, you know, I was going to say sweet, passionate love. I don't even know why my brain, I don't even know your parents to say that. That's so weird.
We'll go with that one because that's better than saying the S word.
Wowzers.
We'll go with that one.
Oh, where the mind goes. When you look at the results of what you've achieved, it's justified, and ultimately it's about how you feel in yourself and what your husband thinks of you and your friends and your family. And again, it's nothing but admiration, respect, love, and appreciation. You know, it's the fact that we're here together right now because of the admiration that I have for you for what you do. And I just think it's so easy to try pick at a person's appearance and find flaws, but really you have to look at yourself. And so really, there's nothing you can do when it comes to something like that. But again, just try and have composure and empathy for any individual. And I know that's incredibly difficult to have for some because it does cross the line. And you know, I had it quite recently with a post about my little girl where people were commenting actually pretty horrendous things. And it's such a shame when you have an individual, when you can quite clearly tell from their profile, they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about themselves. And it's not even really a topic of conversation where you could have a rational conversation.
Yeah.
It's there just to spike you.
Oh, completely. And social media is a whirlwind. And through experience, you just become accustomed to it. And not that anyone should be bullied, but I'm very aware I put myself out there on social media. I put my body out there. So if somebody makes a comment, I can't help but think we have one life, we have one body, we have one mind. That person, like, I am so sorry that is how you're choosing to live your life. And it's a deep empathy that I have for people. I didn't used to. When you first start, it's really difficult not to go back at them. And a lot of the time, if you get a negative comment, your followers will actually go after someone. And that's nothing to do with me. That's people's choice. I just say, hey, I think you're having a really bad day. I hope all is okay. A lot of the time they bite back and they're mortified that you've said this because deep down they know it's true. So I get comments daily after high rocks, actually, because when you're doing high rocks, because I'm quite muscular, so I run, but then you're doing like ski erg and sled, I just go boom.
Yeah.
Like on all the videos, I look like, I don't even know, but like an Avenger. And I was running like this because my arms were so sore. And I look back at some of those pictures and I thought, God, I look massive. I look great. I love that. I had so many comments of being like, she's on steroids. What's her cycle? She looks disgusting. And it was the first time that I've actually been like, I feel really sorry for you because you're choosing to live your life in that way. Your one life that you have. And I spoke about this in a podcast before, the other week. I used to never think about dying or death because I thought that's really sadistic. I'm not going to do that. And after listening to other people talk about it, like Chris Williamson, Hormozy, and I love listening to those sort of podcasts, I do think about death more because I want to achieve things in my life. I want to be grateful for what I have here and now, being sat here on this podcast. I've got this mass amount of gratitude, and I pull it back to one day you won't be here. So those people who make those comments, they're choosing to live their life like that. And I'm just thinking, oh, it's a sad way. It's a sad way to live your life, unfortunately, but you just kill them with kindness.
I think ultimately when your time is up, you want to be able to lay there without regret.
Yeah, which is really weird to think about because you don't know how you're going to feel. But I try and live, you also don't know what's going to happen.
No idea. And I think the biggest disappointment, I think, is our abuse of time.
Yeah.
We think we're going to live here forever, and yet, unfortunately, death is inevitable. And we often think that death could come 40, 50 years from now. But when you start to get older, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm starting to notice friends, family friends who have passed away suddenly for different reasons. It really changes your reality.
Yeah.
Even physically, like if you look at where you're at right now and what you're able to achieve, there is absolutely no guarantee 5 years or 10 or 15 years from now, you're still going to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
If you can, it's a phenomenal thing. And I think just trying to inspire people to be more mindful of that, because actually when your time is cut short and you're lay there thinking, I wish I'd done that.
Yeah. I really take a lot of inspiration from, as I said before, my dad, my mum and dad, and my grandparents, actually. So my gramps is 93 or 94, and he broke his back last year by picking up a plant pot, as you do when you're 94. And he recovered from it because he has trained his whole life. He still squats. My nan has had breast cancer twice, and she's recovered from it the second time. She's 89, and she rows a mile every single day. She rows a mile every single day. And they're there, 94 and 89, living their best life. And I am like, that you are magic. You are, forget the other inspirational people of the world. My nan and gramps are my parents. If I can do what you've done with your life and I'm as happy as you are, that is success to me. Success can be defined in many different ways. It can be monetary. It could be followers on Instagram. I'm over that. That's not success to me. If I'm as happy as my grandparents are and my parents are, oh, yeah, it's different. It makes me feel really emotional.
So that just hit you?
Yeah. Could you tell? Yeah, it makes you really emotional.
That's such a powerful thing. And I think that has such benefits to your marriage.
Oh my God, completely.
Your outlook on the person that you want to be with, and equally what they need to be offering you. I mean, Ben, it's been such a pleasure seeing your and Ben's relationship and the bond you guys have. And actually, you know, to be truthful, it actually made me emotional watching. There was a particular clip where he was supporting you on an ultra. And I've never had that. That's the one thing that I lack in my life, is I've never really had support for the things that I do. And just to see what you have with him is, for me, the dream. Like that's the goal. And I think what you have with one another, how you benefit him and how he benefits you, I mean, the synergy is just entirely there. And I think that's why, in terms of what goals you both set yourselves, it's just absolutely endless. I mean, the only thing I'd say about your video, though, when I was following this journey of your relationship and marriage, is that the first video, which was you introducing him, I've got a bone to pick with you, actually, because this is phenomenal YouTube work. I watched a 15-minute makeup tutorial, and Ben appeared in the last 10 seconds.
Oh my God. I can't even think what. Oh, you've gone so far.
I now know you're everything about your makeup. And still knew little about him actually in that video, other than he had much longer hair at that particular time.
Oh my God, that's so far back.
There are so many defining moments in your journey. And I think just to kind of like wrap up things now, for me, there was a really poignant moment with you where so many people will look at your successes, and actually sometimes it's the learnings also that are equally as valuable. And this particular moment was when you did the Goggins 4448. But the reason why I want to bring this up is that actually the decision you made there, I think, changed everything, because in that moment you could have gone with your ego and it could have been to the detriment of everything that we've spoken about in this podcast right now. And actually that's the lesson that I need so many people to know, is that you came out with a really powerful line where you said, I've just completed a 100-kilometer ultra. I'm 26K into this Goggins challenge and I'm having to pull out through injury. This was not the way it was meant to be. But the fact you did that, so many people could learn from that, because I think too many people will go with ego and they push on. What sort of an impact do you think that decision had made on you? More positive than negative?
Way more positive. And I actually nearly didn't post the video, and I was umming and ahhing because I thought, oh, this is a bad fail. As in, I was so far off, and it was almost shocking. Like I said in the video, I couldn't comprehend. I just ran 100k, and this was like the hip injury I had at the time. So I've got this really weird tear in my hip, and it'd been great for the 100k. A couple months later, I do this Goggins challenge, and I was I felt so disappointed. Bear in mind, I filmed it all for YouTube, logistics, sorted everything out. And I was like, I can't post it. I was like, I'm too embarrassed. Like, I never completed it. I should be able to. I am so thankful I put that video out, because people were like, this is amazing that you actually failed. It's good to see you fail. And I thought, do you know what? It actually probably is, because I fail with so many things every single week. I obviously don't share everything. I share a lot of things. And that was like a monumental thing that I did share. That for other people, it might not be a horrendous fuck up, but for me, it really was. And I put a lot of time and energy into it. I learned so much from that. And I learned not to be embarrassed by failure, because I learned so much from that. I learned that I needed to rehab more, for one, because I'd stopped after 100k because I thought, I'm sound. Clearly wasn't. I also learned like I'm mentally really strong to be able to post something like that, because it can be quite scary to be vulnerable. But yeah, that was it was a good moment for me that I did that.
Again, just to have the strength to be able to show that, the fact that your mind was telling you not to and you still did, I think again is testament to your character.
I hope so.
What is the big ambition now for this year? Because I mean, if you look at what you've already achieved, and we're not even 6 months into the year, is there another major goal? Or are you going to give yourself some time to relax?
I do have 2 marathons coming up. I've got London Marathon, and then the week after that, I've got Geneva. And then I've got High Rocks Worlds, I think a month after that. And then another marathon in the year. But they're more so, because people are like, oh, what are you going to run in London? I'm thinking, I don't know, because I've not done a 16-week marathon prep. I'm just going to go and enjoy London. I've never raced a marathon with such a great atmosphere. I can't wait for that. Like that is my goal for London, is to take it all in and experience it and remember it all and not cry. Geneva, it's my sister's first marathon. I'm pacing her. I could not be more excited. High Rocks Worlds, we're just going to enjoy it. So all the fitness elements that I've got this year, they're just do what you love. Don't put the pressure on yourself, Lucy. Like, go out and enjoy it. We've got so many exciting things happening for the app, for the podcast, doing a podcast tour, business-wise, a lot going on. I love working on the brand for the app. Personally, we're going to try and start for a family. Don't know when that's going to happen. Could be a month, could be a year. Again, no pressure on us. So I've got a lot coming up. I think my biggest goal that I actually set myself in January this year, because I'm not always massive on New Year's resolutions, but I wrote down like personal goals I really want to achieve. And it's just to be a really empowering female hybrid athlete in the UK. Like, I really want to be known for that now. I think that's where my passion has finally taken me. And after 27 years, I think I found like my calling and who I am. And it's taken a really long time, but only this year. And yeah, already this year, like a lot of stuff has happened, which is so crazy. But I think that's like the underarching thing for me, is I want to help more people. I want to help women. I want to help women feel strong. And yeah, be that girl that role model that I wish I had, I guess like 5 or 6 years ago, that you can do more and you're so capable as a woman. It's just finding yourself and just doing the thing.
Fuck, I just felt myself like bench pressing the planet when you were speaking there.
Yeah, everyone get the motivational surge from that little spiel.
Let's get out of this bloody studio, go conquer the world. So just a few things then. Honestly, like it's just been such a pleasure having you on this podcast. And I actually wanted to end it with a little gift. Now, I hope I've got this right. But in one of the episodes, I'm pretty sure you said that, was it every single day you were eating, was it a caramel
Oh my
egg?
God, yeah.
Is this
Oh
it?
my God, Benny's going to die.
Is this the right one?
Yeah, it's the right one. That is great. Oh my God, Benny's going to howl at that.
You've got one each, but yeah.
Oh my God, I literally, every single day.
So there we go.
Benny's
on your journey, your long journey
so
all the way back up north, I just thought that'd be a nice little way to end it.
Yeah, how funny. Every single day, this is what I would have. Everybody, balance. This is what you call balance.
So when I say I've literally watched 5 years of your life, you now know.
Yeah, this is like, you've officiated it. I love that so much.
Honestly, I'm buzzing. That was just the best podcast. Thank you so much.
No,
and I genuinely, like, next time I get you back, I need like 2 hours with you.
We'll do a part 2. Fingers crossed, people will love it.
I love you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Woo!
If you enjoyed today's podcast, you fatted biscuit, all I ask of you in return is that you push that subscribe button and leave a review. Unless it's a bad one, you can keep that, your sausage. Your support, though, makes such a difference to this podcast and enables it to grow and connect with even more people around the world.